What's going on, everybody? K2 here with week 3 of the CCL D League. This week we are going up against Shadow Beast 21, also known as Mike. And yeah, let's go ahead and go over the team that I'm bringing. I'm bringing Chandelure for the first time this season, and also Komala for the first time this season. Actually, I think Rose Raid as well. So all three making their first appearance on the season. This Chandelure is pretty special. It is sub flame charge. With dual stab for coverage because I didn't really need anything else. It would have been nice to have Energy Ball in order to do extra damage to Keldeo. However, I felt like boosting my speed with the flame charge was overall better. Also, having Substitute is really good for playing around Bisharp, so I can do stuff like that with it. So next up we have Rose Raid. Rose Raid is there to like, it's going to be kind of nice to just do damage. It was kind of a last second kind of bring, I think. I don't remember. It's been a while. This is a Specs Sylveon. Choice Specs. I was thinking about Scarf, and then I was like, no, let's just go Specs. Which he doesn't have a switch into, really. He can... This is why Bisharp is probably going to be a little bit of a problem, because every time Sylveon gets a kill, he brings in Bisharp, but that's why I have Garchomp. Garchomp is here with the rough skin and the rocky helmet, and also the stealth rocks in case I want them. It's just there to get off a bunch of residual damage against the Bisharp, make sure it kills itself before it kills the rest of my team. Next up we have Wish, Protect, Toxic, Moonblast, Jirachi, not Psychic. I wanted Moonblast, that way I didn't get completely walled by Bisharp. I didn't realize that Moonblast actually had a 60% chance to lower special attack, which is actually pretty bad for Bisharp. However, if it comes down to it, I don't want to be doing no damage. I'd rather be doing some damage against a Bisharp. So, like, it's kind of a toss-up there. And lastly, we have a specially defensive Komala with Rapid Spin, Wish, Protect, and U-Turn. It doesn't have a really good attacking move, however, it is really good for Wish Passing. It gets the slow Wish Pass. I actually have 3 Mons with Wish this week. I have Jirachi with Wish Protect, Komala with Wish Protect, and Specs Sylveon, since he has 0 fairy resistances on his team, was mono attacking Hyper Voice with the Calm Mind, Wish, and Protect. So it's a Calm Mind Specs Sylveon, which is kind of weird, but it works. Mostly because he doesn't have a way to deal with it, really. So that's going to be Sylveon, and let's go ahead and get into the battle. I forget what I lead with. I believe it was Jirachi. Or Sylveon. It is in fact Sylveon. So right off the bat, I think his Mew is probably going to go for something to hit Sylveon super effectively, because he doesn't really have too many options on his team to deal with Sylveon. And I would suspect Bisharp isn't his like defensive thing to switch into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and predict a steel move or a poison move to come my way. So I'm gonna go out and do my Jirachi, and he actually does go straight for the Sludge Wave, which is really cool. We're just going to go ahead and Toxic this Mew. Synchronized doesn't matter because we are Steel type, as he gets up as rocks. So right here, he is going to go into Zapdos, and I'm gonna double Toxic, expecting him to switch out because Mew doesn't really have the capabilities of doing anything to Jirachi. Since I've already seen Stealth Rock and Sludge Wave, I'm thinking it probably has Stab in order to deal with like Rose Raid, or just deal damage in quotes to my team. And then of course some form of recovery, because you don't bring a Mew, like a defensive Mew, without recovery. That would be weird. So I nail the Zapdos on the switch in and get that Toxic as well. It's going to be easy to deal with. And right here, I do want to get these rocks away, because I don't want Chandelure taking a lot of damage throughout the game. So I'm going to go straight into Komala and get my Rapid Spin off, because I can freely do that against the Zapdos. Zapdos can't paralyze me, it can't toxic me, I'm taking nothing from Thunderbolts. So right here I'm just going to go straight for the Rapid Spin. Since I know I can't be 2 KO'd from Thunderbolt from here, I just decided to spin first rather than getting a Wish in the air. And now I'm going to Wish, and he goes into Mew. So he's going to go ahead and reveal his fourth move. It's really his third, but I already know he has Roost. And that's going to be Thunderbolt, so I know now 100% that he can't do any damage to Komala, Sylveon, or Jirachi. Well, he can do some damage to Sylveon, but it's not going to be anything super over the top. Now right here, I am going to try and bait him to go for the Sludge Wave and see what kind of Sylveon I am. So I'm going into Sylveon, and rather than taking the kill and sacrificing a little bit of health on Sylveon, I'm going to go straight into Jirachi. He only has 2 plays here. He can either Sludge Wave to Sylveon, or he can Roost up. And he chooses to Roost instead, so really he got the better end of that play, because that Mew could have been potentially dead, and Sylveon wouldn't have had any damage on it. However, I didn't really want to risk that, because Sylveon is pretty useful still. So Jirachi's going to come in once again, and this time I'm going to try and Wish Pass into Komala. Since he did get up the rocks, it affected the play that I was going to make. I was probably going to Wish Pass into, I probably actually would have just stayed in and tried Moonblasting the Mew in order to start lowering its health. However, I am going to Wish Pass into Komala now, since it did get a little bit low and I could potentially spin. However, he does come in with the Keldeo, so I'm like, shit, I can't stay in. So I'm going to go out into Sylveon, just to scout the damage, see what kind of Keldeo he is. I could have gone into Roserade, however, I didn't want it taking too much damage in case Keldeo did get out of hand. It would have been able to do a KO on the switch in with Secret Sword plus Hidden Power Ice or something along those lines. So I'm going to go into Sylveon, see what kind of set he is. He's going to show the Sacred Sword, and he turns out to be Life Orb, which is bad because now I have to switch and stuff. Yeah. So, like, I was going to come in here, see if he was Scarf or Specs, but it turns out he's Life Orb, so he can change up moves. So I'm going to go into Roserade. And this was a calculated risk. I wanted to come in with Roserade, take the Secret Sword, and then scout for Hidden Power Ice or something like that, like Icy Wind, by going out into Jirachi. That way I could start wearing his Keldeo down a little bit, but with Life Orb, and also get more knowledge about his set. However, he does make a pretty good play in going to Mew, but Mew can't really touch Roserade, so I could stay in here, but I am going to take this as an opportunity to get these rocks away, and because Mew is toxic, I'm going to be able to 1v1 that, so he knows that that's not a great idea. I am going to Wish, and because he goes out in a Latias, I can slow U-turn and get this Wish into Sylveon and get my free kill finally. So Latias, no matter what it does to this Komala, it's going to open up the opportunity for me to Wish Pass. So U-turn into Sylveon, and I'm going to click Hyper Voice. I'm going to get my Wish, and he's going to go for the Psychic. It is not enough to knock us out. We're going to be able to Hyper Voice and pick up our kill. So now this lets in probably his Bisharp or his Keldeo. He chooses to go Keldeo, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to risk it. Depending on what kind of Keldeo he was, he would have been able to KO my Jirachi, but I figured at this point I needed to risk it because Keldeo is a pretty big threat to my team, with it being Life Orb and me not having a Scarf around the team. So, I need Jirachi to be able to live a Scald plus a Focus Blast, and also not get burned, and luckily for me, I do dodge the burn. I'm going to be able to get my Wish up. Keldeo is able to do about 50% with the Focus Blast, however, I'm going to be able to Wish Protect back up to a reasonable amount of health, and at this point, he's basically forced to switch since he sees that my Jirachi is going to be able to 1v1 his Keldeo. So right here, I'm going to go for another Wish, and this is where I start Moonblasting. Because I want to be able to lower his special attack on his Mons, and just like that, just fuck. That's literally the word that came out of my mouth during the match. I was like, fuck. Because, like, what do I do? It's at +2 attack. It can pursuit me and completely get rid of my Irachi. So I'm going to go ahead and protect first to see if he wants to lock himself into Sucker Punch. However, he shows that he's actually going to go for the knockoff here, which is definitely going to be able to knock me out. I'm going to go make the switch into my Garchomp. Unfortunately, I'm not like max defense, so this knockoff is going to be able to just 100% take me out. And right here, I figure my only chance is to go into Chandelure, force him to Sucker Punch me as I set up a substitute. So that's what's going to do. That is what I am going to do, and he actually switches out. Thank fucking Christ. Because that could have swept through the rest of my team. Roserade didn't have any attacking moves. Sylveon was fucking specs, so and also slower, so it would have died to an Iron Head. Rachi would have died to Sucker Punches. Komala would have died to anything. So basically, I dodged a bullet there, and now I can get up my substitute, and I can start flame charging to get my speed up. So it's basically as if I have a Scarf now. And we're at +1. We can change up moves, and we deal so much damage to the rest of his team that it's not even funny. So we're going to go ahead and Shadow Ball this Mew. And Mew is not going to go down. However, it's not going to be able to do a lot of damage to us. We dodge the paralysis, which is nice, and Mew goes down to Toxic. So right here, he's going to go ahead and go into Bisharp. Kind of a 50-50, just like every time a Bisharp comes in. I know that this is what's going through my head, at least. He can Sucker Punch or Pursuit. He sees how much my Chandelure does to the rest of his team. So he thinks I might try to save it to preserve it for the rest of the game. However, I'm thinking that he's just going to want to Pursuit, thinking that. So I'm just going to go straight for the Flamethrower, thinking he's not going to Sucker Punch, and I get that correct. However, it wasn't really a 50-50, because he didn't have Sucker Punch, because he was a Scarfed Bisharp. So if you are keeping track at home, kiddos, a +2 Bisharp with knockoff, that's also Scarfed, swept through the rest of my team at the point where it switched out. So basically, he thought that I was Scarfed Chandelure and I was trying to bluff the Scarf. However, I was just going into it because I felt that I outsped it, and shit, like, I could have lost like 4-0 to Bisharp right then. However, I do dodge probably one of the biggest bullets, because that was honestly my bad in bringing Moonblast Jirachi against a team that has a Bisharp. So yeah, that could have been scary. However, we dodge a bullet, as I've said twice already. So now, basically what's going to happen is I'm going to sub down a couple times against his Keldeo to get him in range to die to a Shadow Ball, because he is just outside of range right now. And Life Orb is going to be able to bring him down into range to die to a Shadow Ball. So right here, I'm going to go for it. And Whimsicott comes in and takes a buttload, and he actually is going to be able to get off the Tailwind here, which basically means I'm forced to sack Chandelure here. I can't switch anything in reliably. Rachi could get 2 KO'd if he Focus Blasts, or gets a crit or something along those lines, so I don't really want to risk that. Chandelure did its job. It broke the team in front of us, and we're just going to let it go down. Keldeo is going to take a little bit more Life Orb damage. It's going to be able to die to a Moonblast now. So right here, he misses Focus Blast, and I get up a Wish. I was actually expecting him to switch into Zapdos right off the bat, which is why I wished, but it also would have been just fine to get the Wish up in the air against the Keldeo in case it wanted to Focus Blast to try and 2 KO me. I waste Focus Blast that way. So basically the game is in Jirachi's hands right now just to Moonblast in order to pick up victory. So we're just going to Moonblast until we win, basically. So yeah, that's going to be the game. It's going to be a 4-0 victory for us. Really scary moment there in the middle with the Bisharp. Definitely could have lost and could have lost big. But we were able to scrape by with a win. So yeah, that was scary. Whew. But anyway, we are now 3-0. That's 3 4-0s to start off our CCL season. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like down on the video below, or not on the video, just leave a like down below. And I will see you guys next time.